Well, unfortunately for me, it is a sprint weekend, which I genuinely forgot coming into the weekend until I got into the menu, showing that it was indeed a sprint weekend. Welcome to Miami, fortunately slash unfortunately. Ignore the looming clouds, it's fine. Sort of. Relatively pretty decent so far. Miami is a track that I figured I would throw on the calendar because, I kind of like it, honestly. I don't mind it. It's not too bad. There is, of course, the one chicane section where it's kind of weird. We'll literally get to that, but overall, I feel like it's pretty fine. In the context of 2026 regulations, man, this straightaway and the other DRS straightaway is going to suck when it comes to battery usage, isn't it? Oh gosh, we're doing that round in like May, real life, aren't we? Or is it March? Or is it April? I actually don't remember. No, it's the start of May. Anyway, the only thing that I would suggest changing about the Miami circuit is this section here, because this section sucks. Is it technical? Sure. Is it definitely possible to go too wide? Yes. Does it mean it should exist? No. You may have seen as well the sponsor board on the right-hand side kind of glitch out there a little bit, so a little bit of Z-fighting. I did let the mod creator know a while ago, actually. I don't know if they fixed it because by the time I recorded this is when I let them know. So this was, it could be fixed by now. I genuinely have no idea. But regardless, the end of Sprint Quali 1 for me, and we go to P12, and that's not too bad. I prefer the top 10, but we go ahead of Hajar anyway, and that's enough to get us through to Q2, which seems to be plaguing me for probably the entirety of my career, where, well, we can exist in Q2, we can hypothetically qualify for Q3, but that's just not going to happen. This section here as well, a little bit more confident this time on the throttle, despite the small bit of understeer, but you see the lap that I have set, or haven't set. Yeah, the first attempt didn't go too well, 129.505 being my best attempt, and I am second to last. Interestingly, Norris is also here in the bottom 5, as well as Russell and Antonelli, so a little bit of a fumble for the Mercedes engines, apparently. I actually forget who's P15 at the time, and oh, well, now it's Antonelli. It was Albon. And with Albon going up to P11, it basically means it's an attempt here, as everyone else is going to go out here. I decided to try and run my lap a little bit early, so in hopes of trying to actually get something. So just cutting it close. I forgot how close I cut it to the wall there sometimes, and as I fumble again, just like in Jeddah, there's a wall on my right-hand side where I fumble because I hit something on the left-hand side. That time I just understeered. I didn't rotate the car enough, but otherwise, we're going to stick through it and come through to finish our lap. Downshifting to first gear because I'm trying to get all the momentum here as much as possible off the final corner. Upshifting through the gears to finish our lap, and it will get us up to P10, at least provisionally. And, well, here are the drivers on the bottom 5. Ocon beat Norris, Verstappen, and both Mercedes, and me. But Verstappen and Norris being down in the bottom 5 with the Mercedes. Oh, boy.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. The Miami International Autodrome is a 3.36-mile circuit that circumnavigates the Hard Rock Stadium. The track was designed with 19 corners and long straightaways to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Alonso, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Hadjar, Albon, Bortoletto and Ollie Behrman, Norris, Frostbite, Max Verstappen and Russell, Antonelli, Tsunoda, Franco Colapinto and Nico Hülkenberg, Stroll, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
And it's lights out, and away we go, getting a much better start than Norris, Behrman, or Ocon. No, that was right the first time. Behrman will split the middle between Bortoleto as well as Albon. Then we're just like that, right in the points. At least we're on the very end of it. A little bit sketchy. And oh gosh, it's Carlos Sainz again. How many times are we going to see this in our career? Like, actually. Somebody probably by this point has made a Carlos Sainz counter. I probably should at this point. Again, I was joking when I said, yeah, we're probably going to be seeing him a lot. Didn't think it would actually be happening. And yet, here we are. But on the bright side, we are potentially in the points, at least P8 for now. So that's a good sign as we make our way down the long straightaway here. Hajar is going to make a move to the outside of Sainz. I'm thinking about it, but I just don't really want to risk anything. Bortoleto's going to go bold and try for a double overtake, but I'm not going to let him get to the right-hand side. I'm not going to let him fall back in line here. And I see the space. I'm going to go for the switch back just to the inside as we just make contact. Bortoleto goes over the curb, and I can't really lunge either, so we get sat back and shuffled back a little bit further from the top 8. Still in potential point scoring position, especially since we're about to pass Gabby right here in the Sauber. And we don't really deploy all of our battery for good reason, because we don't really need to at the moment. It's way too early for that. Hajar and Sainz going side by side in the final corner just ahead of us. We're back into P8, and my goal for this race is to try and finish ahead of Hajar. I almost said Liam Lawson, unironically, as we're going to make our move on Sainz to the inside. Almost bouncing off the rev when we were there, going into the braking zone. Very easy pass, all things considered. Hajar making his way up through the field, shockingly enough. I'm having a few troubles here, all things considered, with the setup, but that's just a personal handling issue as Ocon tries to defend a little bit too late almost. We'll take the inside lane away from him, and he'll try and just, he'll decide to back out here. So we fall through into P6. Hajar's ahead of Hamilton, by the way, who we do end up catching as well after dumping a little bit of our battery. And just up ahead of us, it's a car that is off in some way, shape, or form. Not exactly sure what's happening, but Hamilton just locks up. We'll take advantage of that. Dive to the inside. It is both RBs, P4, P5. A great point staple. Alonso sitting up, yes, in third. No, that's not a bug. No, that's not a mod. That is Alonso literally sitting up in third. I'm not going to fight Hamilton here, as he'll really just lean on the brakes there. I think that's turn 12, if I remember correctly, for the Miami track, but I've had so many tracks in my brain today, I don't really know. But we'll follow Hamilton regardless, scraping the underside of the car over the curb. It's fine, it'll buff out. And we will be in DRS range of Hamilton. A little bit of a ERS deployment, never hurt anybody. And a little bit of DRS, well, it might hurt the points, especially for Hamilton here. As we'll just stick to the right-hand side. We're way too far back to kind of consider anything, but I'm still going to try and just, well, not really do that. Not exactly the most wanted thing of my entire career, but, well, we got there in the end. Not exactly what I want to do is break my front wing, and you see Hamilton just completely slowing up. I almost said viciously. Drastically slowing up into turn number 1, and I think that's a bug with at least the version of the game that I was on at this time. I think it's 1.16 on PC at the time. There's something off about the AI and the braking into turn 1. They braked way too early for whatever reason. I genuinely don't know why. I think I was on 100 difficulty or 98 difficulty around this time. I dropped down from 105. I do not have the pace to hit 105 AI difficulty. Not at all. But regardless, Norris and Hamilton battling side by side. Am I going to do the same thing that I did with Bortoleto? No, I'm just not there. I'm not that crazy. Trying for the switchback on Hamilton into the chicane of immediate death and destruction on the left-hand side, at least. Would have been a decision of all time. Verstappen, by the way, is right behind us. We're surrounded technically by world champions, at least in real-life terms, in 2025 career terms, while we're surrounded by, well, myself and Norris are surrounded by champions. You see how much I had to let off there. I was just a little too terrified as, while we skip ahead to lap number 12 now, where Sainz has made its way by us. We're trying to fight to stay in the points at this rate. As we go ahead and go around to the right-hand side. And then hard on the brakes we go. A very easy pass, again, all things considered. There was, again, not much to talk about here as we move over to lap 13 now. Making our way through, trying to now defend from Carlos Sainz. There's a yellow flag behind us. But I'm trying to defend with all my life here and all my battery from Carlos Sainz, who can't really commit to the pass to the inside, and it's a red flag. Well, this is one of those incidents where you just have to see it to believe it. Antonelli has an engine issue, Ocon nowhere to go, and brings in Alex Albon, and just avoiding Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, that was a decision of all time from Antonelli. In my opinion, should be a race ban. As we see all the various angles that could have been captured here. Very good heads-up driving from Tsunoda. I think just barely got the front wing hit, but yeah, that's nowhere to go here for. Oh, just nowhere to go for Albon. So for us, it's a front wing replacement and a slap-on of the soft tires. As we are down in the way, we get by Hamilton. He gets a very poor start, all things considered. We're 3 wide with Verstappen and Hadjar. I decided to very willingly back out because I, even in headcanon, did not want to try to make that pass. And headcanon, didn't want to, quote-unquote, draw a penalty. So you can see me checking everything just to make sure. But man, oh man, that is something that was a little bit terrifying. And I did not want to stick the entire car up the right-hand side of Hadjar's car. That would have been absolutely disastrous if things went even more awful than it did here. But right now we are trying to get back into the rhythm here, especially on soft tires. I think I made a couple front wing changes. I don't really remember, to be quite honest with you. Again, been a while since I actually raced, so I record these in batches unintentionally. But regardless, we are just trying to follow through, stick behind Isaac Hadjar here. And while we started to close the gap here in the latter portion of the track, we were way better than Hadjar here in the twisty technical section. And, well, we're better than everybody in Sector 2 because we just got the session fastest Sector 2. That is a tongue twister and a half, and I will not let that leave my brain whatsoever. As we're going to go ahead and be hard on the brakes, make almost a little bit of contact with Isaac Hadjar. It's a battle of the bulls, all things considered, both myself and Hadjar, and maybe Max Verstappen if we can stick within 1 second of him now that DRS is enabled here. And, well, with 3 laps to go, yes, we can and we will strike on Max Verstappen. We get ahead as Leclerc is holding up the pack here. But we are fine. We stuck with P4 here for those last 3 laps. Right up until I go just a little bit wide here, and oh look, it's Max Verstappen. Who could have seen this one coming? I know for a fact that I need to try and save my battery here as much as I really, really don't want to, but I know I have to. And it's really annoying. I'm 2.4 seconds ahead. And at this point in my mind, I'm thinking how I'm 3 points behind Isaac Hadjar. My only goal for the season is just to finish in front of Hadjar. Right now, I am 2 points behind Isaac Hadjar with this current position, with where we are both at, and I want to try and do my damnedest to actually get ahead of Hadjar on the points, or at least by the end of the weekend tie Hadjar on points. So what we're going to do here is deploy all the battery, use DRS. Verstappen's battery is basically drained. We have just a little bit left. We're going to be at 340 kilometers an hour as Verstappen aggressively defends, cuts across us. We make a little bit of contact with Verstappen as we make our way through to P4, and we are now 1 point behind Hadjar in the standings.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
That may be a penalty in real life, and you know what? Fair. However, I was already on the left-hand side. That's my opinion. It's like the defensive driving in Australia in 2026 now at this point, from the first race of the season that we've seen. I think that was literally turn 12, where drivers just kept going across to defend. It's like, guys, come on, you can't just run them out of the road like that, but I guess that's allowed in Formula 1 now. Don't know why, but it is certainly a decision. Anyway, qualifying for the actual race now, where this time it's actually sunny. Wow, who would have thought? What one day does to track conditions. As right now we are looking 17th on the outside looking in terms of Q1 going to Q2. And as we come across the first timing sector, we're only 600ths of a second behind Charles Leclerc, or ahead, I guess, technically. So it is, in these conditions, a lot more tighter competition here, and a little bit more terrifying competition. And I know for a fact as well that it's just not the most ideal here, as we'll make our way through the worst section to ever exist in the entire history of motorsports, as we make our way through a lot cleaner this time on this qualifying lap, and we'll make sure to not hit the outside, and we hit the outside wall. Well, we are tracking 0.5 of a second faster. Regardless, we are fastest overall in Sector 2 once again, as per usual, but that time bleed is not going to help matters, especially considering we have Leclerc, now Hamilton in P15, and now it's Bortoleto in P15, who out-qualifies a Ferrari, at least temporarily. Hamilton's going to go across the start-finish line surely this time through, unless that was Leclerc, will cross the line as well, and we go into P17. It was not a good qualifying session for us.
Welcome to the Magic City. We are here at Miami International Autodrome, the home of the Hard Rock Stadium. It's a multi-purpose sports and entertainment hub which has hosted Super Bowls, Baseball World Series, numerous rock concerts, and now Formula One. The Miami International Autodrome is a 3.36-mile circuit that circumnavigates the Hard Rock Stadium. The track was designed with 19 corners and long straightaways to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Russell, Yuki Tsunoda, and Alonso, Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Sainz, and Esteban Ocon, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Lando Norris, and Albon, Stroll, Hamilton, Frostbite, and Ollie Behrman, Gasly, and Franco Colapinto rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Well, we are in a universe where Hamilton has been out-qualified by a Sauber, where Norris has been out-qualified by a Sauber, but that's not going to stop me from getting past said Sauber here. If we can just get to the left-hand side of Ocon, it's not going to work out though, but we have a lightning start. Same with Lewis Hamilton. He's up 3 positions. We jump ahead of Hamilton as well. We are up 4 positions, actually 5 positions. I can do math. But regardless, we are up into the outside looking in terms of points. All I need is just at least 2 points, a P9 finish, and I will be happy, all things considered, especially with how this weekend has gone so far. We finished ahead of Hadjar once. We can definitely do it again, but we have a long race ahead of us, and a race that's a little bit more challenging. I definitely did not nail the straight line speed in terms of the setup, that's for sure. I decided that we're not going to fight Hamilton today, but at the same time, we're going to fight Hamilton today because the entire inside lane there was a little bit slower than expected on corner entry. Hamilton's going to keep the nose to the left-hand side of us, actually just barely, so we'll give him just what's expected of us, give him the space that we can. He gets shuffled out as a result of that, and now we set our sights on Bortoleto, who is definitely using battery on the exit of the corner. I don't know what the AI strategy is there, but apparently it's just a dump battery on corner exit there, especially down the long straightaway here, and we're just gonna barely miss nailing the back of Ocon. Breathe a sigh of relief, and we move on. Up to lap number 2, our sights are set on Ocon. We're backing off this time because I know for a fact that, well, A, there's a traffic jam ahead of us, and B, well, we could go for the second DRS zone to try and get by Ocon, but why do that? We can pass around the outside in the, not fountain section. The legally distinct Long Beach fountain section is what I'm going to be calling it here, as we will outbrake Sainz and nearly myself here as we just make our way to P9, the first of the soft tire runners here. As we flash our way through the few opening laps, we're going to go to the outside of Fernando Alonso, who had a great run in the sprint, and we're not really going to try and fight him here on corner entry, as Hamilton has snuck his way up as well. He tried to peek the nose to the inside, and we didn't really know that he was there, nor give him space. The curb, dangerous as ever. Not the most helpful, as we'll cut across to defend. If Verstappen can do it, then apparently we can too, so we're going to use all the advantages of that. In my defense, I did move first, I feel like, as we're going to go ahead and get by Alonso finally here. A little bit one lap too late. Hulkenberg up in P6, shockingly enough. This is definitely one race where, strangely enough, we are a little bit out of order in terms of the norm here, of where everyone's expected to be. Alonso had gotten back by us. Hamilton had gotten past us and Alonso in the process. We're going to go ahead and try and outbrake Alonso, but we learn this time from what happened with Verstappen. We sell the dummy, go to the outside, and we will take the 8th place position here on corner exit. At least we would if Alonso wasn't using battery here on corner exit. He'll stick alongside down to the T1 braking zone, and that is what I'm saying here, is that I feel like the AI just brakes way too early there in turn 1, and I do not know why. I don't know what the bug is there, as Alonso and I make contact. And I'm going to try and attempt to flick spin. It didn't work too well. We try and finally get back going. And the safety car, as a result of the track blockage, no doubt some contact behind us. Safety car deployed. Not technically my fault, not technically Alonso's fault, although I feel like Alonso could have done a little bit better in that instance. But we're going to go ahead and get our tires changed over to the hards, get our front wing changed. Hadjar's a 10-second penalty for... Wait, why don't we get our... Hey! They completely missed the fact that we had a damaged front wing. So now we are forced to completely stay out. We've lost track position. Granted, yes, we would have lost track position anyway, but not the best thing ever here. It gives me a chance to feel everything out here for the hard tires and maybe wonder if this is even the right call. We got cars around us on mediums, one on softs.
The rain clearing up is about 10 minutes, so just keep your concentration out there. You're doing well. Dries definitely seem like the fastest car at the moment.
And apparently we have rain on the horizon, so you know what, we're going to stick it out. The safety car is coming in this lap anyway, so we're going to wait for intermediate conditions and change our front wing in those conditions. Granted, we could box now, but it would be way too early for intermediate tires as we try and get going. The track is already slick enough as it is, and me using hard tires is not helping out either, but I was hoping the team would change the front wing automatically. They did not, so apparently I have to remind them, hey, we should probably change the front wing, which you think they would. But no, they need a little bit of persuading, especially.
Weather's changing now. You might want to review our strategy.
Not long after the restart, we just get the call in just in time because the curbs are starting to get insanely slick now. Especially on the right-hand side there on the corner exit where we completely almost dropped the car, basically. We're just trying to survive and get to the end by this point. There's a few cars battling ahead of us. It's Lando Norris. Shockingly enough, Norris battling Sainz. What is going on with Lando Norris today? He is well off the pace. He's just gotten passed by Sainz, Hulkenberg, now Behrman. And we're going to try and capitalize here. Poke the car up to the left-hand side, and we hit Behrman unintentionally. Everyone is slow in the intermediate section in Sector 2 here. Under the overpass we go. And we are trying to get going as much as possible, get ahead of as many cars as possible here before we get to pit entry. And, well, we're going to have to be really careful here going into the final corner here. Having to remember that it's a little bit more slick, and we just hit the back of Hulkenberg. We hit the side of Hulkenberg, too. That's going to give us side pod damage, no doubt. Front wing damage for Hulkenberg, as we are all over the track. And those hard tires come off, and we have a 2-kilometer over the speed limit penalty. That's a roundabout way of saying we have a 10-second penalty, but we have a 10-second penalty. And yes, I entered the track entered the pit lane way too fast, all things considered. Only 2 kilometers an hour. But if the team changed the front wing in the first place, maybe I wouldn't be in this exact situation. Now that I think about it, it might be better off that we don't stick with RB going into the 2026 season, even if they do nail the regulations in-game. But considering how Mercedes are nailing them in real life, then actually might work out pretty well. Safety cars deployed, and this helps us a lot here. And well, we're already P15, so let's take a moment to sit back and see what we're dealing with here. We're P15. We have a 10-second penalty. We have all of the possible time available. The safety car is sitting in turn 1. We're going to go ahead and box and get rid of this 10-second penalty. So after doing so, we come back to lap 19, where we are sitting behind Hajar as we come to a near dead stop here as the field makes their way painfully slowly through the final corner. And finally, slowly, agonizingly, we finally get going as the rain continues to fall here around Miami. I'm going to brake way earlier than anticipated. Not even to really try and make a pass on Hajar, but just try and feel everything out, feel out the conditions, get used to everything. And by the time we head into the first large braking zone, Hajar is getting by Bortoleto and Ocon. So I decided, yeah, you know what, let's follow here because these guys are very slow in these conditions. So we'll make unintentional contact with Bortoleto just barely. And keep in mind that, well, we have to get by Ocon as well. We can't really lunge up the left-hand side, so we're going to be a little bit stuck here through the intermediate section. At the request of the engineer, we will use a little bit more of our energy. A few laps later, we move through to lap number 12, or lap number 26, where we're P12, and we're going to lunge up the left-hand side of Lando Norris, who is, again, just uncharacteristically slow. It started to clear up, but it's not enough for slick conditions yet. And that would come on this lap where we did get the radio message, and we're going to try and just barely, with 4 kilometers to spare, get down to the pit stall, or at least pit lane. I decided to stay out 1 lap extra because everybody is coming in on the same lap. Now we'll go back to our hard tires, and now we'll go out. But unfortunately, it doesn't really give us an advantage or a loss. We're kind of back where we were. We are behind Hajar, but still just coming out ahead of Lando Norris by the end of this pit stop. Can we make it to the end on the hard tires? That is a good question. A question that remains to be answered, especially considering that, well, if we overshoot turn 1 like that a bunch and nail the inside wall, and there goes our front wing. Cool. Great. Awesome. I love damaging my front wing. The car is practically handling like a boat by this point, but we're going to try and at least make our way back to pit road as much as possible. And we don't. That's, yeah, that was painful. That was painful. I know. Rookie mistake. I know. So, as a result of that, we are still, luckily, 1 point behind Hajar in the driver standings, technically in fighting distance of Pierre Gasly for P10, so keep an eye on that. Still tied with Aston Martin on points, still ahead of Alpine in the Teams Championship, and we will sadly and begrudgingly move on to next week and hope we can do better.